So
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to get in the darkness.
Yeah, right. I was gonna say you have too much skin color for a golem. It's
Yeah, but I'm
almost
trying to
translucent,
hide.
right?
Were you playing Heroes?
I was indeed.
Right. You and Eugenie.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's a nightly ritual now. Like we finish work and we're like, okay, we need to just have a break and clear our heads. So we'll just go and play for a few rounds and then get on with the rest of the evening. So it's kind of nice.
What Heroes?
She was playing
Murky.
Li Ming, and then she played Murky, and I played Lunara for all three. So she's just as kind of broken as when you play against her, as I discovered.
Yes, I recently purchased Lunara, actually.
Right, yeah.
She is fucking strong.
Yeah, right. It's kind of like, oh man, that hero's really good when I play against them. I wonder what it's like to play as them. It's like, answer is very easy.
Yes.
Very, very easy.
Super strong.
Yeah,
and I also wanted to purchased something recently. I can't remember. I know I've been liking Rainer a lot recently, and someone else. Did you win?
We did 3 wins in a row. We were playing with people against the AI.
Sweet.
Veteran. So yeah, it was pretty good. It's Lunara does a lot for the team. So
yeah.
This is way out of my gaming competence.
What gaming are you into? Are you into any gaming at all?
Yeah, I play a lot of video games. I play an NBA 2K and Call of Duty, and sometimes we squad up for Fortnite.
Oh, nice.
So I like easy games, just pick up and play.
Nice, very good.
Yeah.
Do you know, we were just talking about your disappointing experience with SFI.
Oh yeah.
You want to tell the story?
Which one? Well, we got a what's the name? Like a private tutor initially, and he kind of wanted to not really be tutoring anymore because there was no money in it for him, and so he had like 1 foot out the door for the whole 10 weeks and no structure. And so we would go over the same thing, like 2 separate lessons, but it would be in such a slightly different way that you'd be like, no, this is new. And then you kind of get to the end and you're like, no, wait, it was exactly what we did 2 weeks ago. So it was kind of like we ended up paying like an exorbitant amount of money for it. And we're just like, no, we're not going back to that. So, and then the SFI, like when we actually did the official SFI, we would just not really ever hear back from the tutors. We would like do this 3-minute speech in Swedish with practicing everything, telling them all about our day and blah blah blah, and then we would record it and we'd send it to them, and then like 3 days later we'd just get back, well done, you have done the thing. You're like, what? Like what kind of feedback is that? Like, can you imagine a goalie coach giving feedback? Well done, you made a save. And that's it. That's the only feedback you ever give.
That's what I'm going for this.
Nice. Yeah,
that's all you're getting from me,
mode, right?
That's all you're gonna get from me from now on.
Nice. You look like you're settling in for a nap. That's kind of.
Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, he did just deadlift 200 kilos.
Oh man,
that's
mental. I think I was doing like 50 to 70 or something. I was like before we got sent working from home, because we have a gym at work, and so I was using that every week, slowly building my way up, and now I haven't done any weights.
Did you say 150 or 50?
No, 50.
All right,
I started
good.
very, very low.
Close.
Yeah.
No, that's the weight you should start at. To work the skill, the technique.
Yeah, for sure.
I've trained pretty serious for like almost 14 months now, I guess.
Right.
So nice. I've started at the same weight. So
nice.
And by the way, on the topic of SFI, I told Joel that I told you the difference between banan and banan.
Yes, I passed that information on to Eugenie as well, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, it is. It's different."
So go on your messenger. I just sent you a list of homographs.
Alrighty.
Just wanted to glance it over because this is honestly, I'm gonna send it to you as well, Johan. This is actually shocking even for Swedes.
How many are there? Oh my god, it just never ends. I like that there's trumpet, and one of them is what? Butter?
Trumpet och trumpet. Let me find it. Yeah, so trumpet means if something's bitter. It's like, oh, that sucks. That's
right.
your what could be a good word for, you're a bit
like a situation sucks, like, oh, that's rough is be a pretty common one. Yeah.
So that's trumpet and trumpet.
Right. Not to get confused. Oh, that's a musical instrument.
Right. And then you have svalt and svalt.
I'm not even going to pretend that I can hear the difference in that pronunciation.
There is no difference in the pronunciation.
Yeah.
No, I can see by the little thing that it's supposed to be, but so one is swallow and one is cool.
Damn, we got a lot of words.
We do. So when the room is cool.
Yeah, right.
You'd say rummet är svalt.
Okay.
And if you have swallowed something, you have svalt something.
The room is swallowed.
Yes.
This is excellent. So these are the fun ones to learn, and then you deliberately misuse them, and you just kind of drop it in the everyday conversation and see if anybody starts to pick up on it or correct you, or they're just kind of like, oh yeah, no, the room is swallowed. Yeah.
Swedes are often too polite to correct you, even if they hear you mispronounce it.
Yeah, right.
I think.
I think one thing that I've noticed is if you don't get your pronunciation right, it's a Swede will kind of just not understand. Like, there's not a lot of variance in the pronunciation. Like, if you don't pronounce it properly, they're just kind of like, sorry, can you say it again? So, like my street name, I can't say at all. And we've caught a taxi quite a few times recently. And they're like, where are you going? And I'm like, Birkavägen. And they're like, what? and then Eugenie has to step in and tell them actually where we're going. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, no worries, I'll get you there. Just like, okay, yeah, you're doing all the navigating from now on because I can't get home. So.
I got that though, Birkavägen.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's the first time I've said it correctly in my life.
So she pronounces it better than you?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and she's picked up SFI again with a new school that she seems to really be liking. I have not got it yet. So, are you looking up my address now?
No, I looked up a word for. Well, there's one that I found here. That's one is fasan and one is fasan.
I was thinking right about that word.
So fasan is terror.
Oh yeah.
So the terror, and fasan is pheasant.
Pheasant.
Yeah, and they're spelled. Yeah, the bird. Yep. So fasan and fasan are spelled the same. It's terror and pheasant.
Nice. That is one hell of a scary bird.
The Swedish words are just, even to me, they're so funny. Fint och fint är också bra.
I like sen. Eller sen.
Sen och sen.
You could be late or it could be later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Late and later, yeah. Later
You're
on.
late? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. So
in English we don't really have that the pronunciation. Well, I guess we do. We've got like here and here, which is and here. So it's like, hair on your head, or here the animal, or here like the location.
Yeah.
And they're all spelt the same and the pronunciation's all the same. But one that I have fun with all the time is when like particularly South Africans say just now, compared to like when New Zealanders say just now, because it refers to like a totally different point in time. And so if you say like in New Zealand, oh, I'm going to do this just now, it's like I'm about to do it. Like I'm about to go and pick up what I need and do it. And so in South African is like, oh yeah, I'll do it just now. So like, in the next day or two. And so you kind of like, you ask them to do it. And then you go back and you're like, have you done this? And they're like, no, I said I was going to do it just now. And I'm like, yeah, so why isn't it done?
Right.
Like, because I'm going to do it just now, And you just kind of go around and round and round in circles because you're saying the same thing, but it's like wildly different.
But it means eventually instead.
Yeah. Yeah. Or kind of just like it's now on my schedule sort of thing. So I I'll get to it in a couple of days, but not like now, like right at this moment sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's great. Language is great fun.
How do you feel? You feel all right for doing this episode?
Yeah, I reckon should be pretty good.
Right. So we're gonna do an intro that we have never done together in English, actually.
Ah, okay.
Stuff. So instead of the normal podcast name, which is in Swedish, Målvaktsnack, I have been writing Goalie Talk on Spotify.
Ah, yeah.
So I think we should call it Goalie Talk. You will.
Sure.
So we will just kind of mark off the start of the episode with a few seconds of silence, and then I will do one of those. Hi and welcome to episode number X of Goalie Talk with Pontus.
And with Joel. What's up?
And today we have, and then I will give you an introduction, and then we just go through the schedule.
Okay. Yeah.
Program, I guess it's called.
Yeah. Sweet.
I just want to check. What do you think, you will? Should I say what number of Goalie Talk this is, or what number of the podcast?
Maybe the English one. Like, this is blah 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 of the English version.
Yeah, because this will be episode number 18, but it will be Goalie Talk number 5.
I think. What did we call the first English episode? Did we?
I've renamed them actually, so they are called Avsnitt 8, Goalie Talk number 1.
Maybe we do it in Swedish at first and say like today's episodes in English. So it's Målvaktsnack 18, Goalie Talk 2.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Only we have never done it before. It just says in the description that it's in English.
This is a trick question.
I think we should just say, welcome to Goalie Talk number 5. This is with me and you.
Yeah, sure.
And then we label it Avsnitt 18. And then
does it really matter in the end?
No, as long as we have a structure, like as all the Goalie Talks are labeled the same. Yeah, it's not gonna matter.
Well, stick to the structure that we have. No need to change.
Just gonna write down a few things.
I should have practiced my English for a week before this.
Yeah, your English will always be better than my Swedish, my man.
I'm not sure.
Yeah?
The thing is, since I'm from the northern Sweden, I'm already slow, and so I'm slow, and then I'm gonna have to like translate to English. So
yeah,
it's super slow.
Yeah, I always wonder how it's like, because I haven't really had much of experience with another language. Like I kind of started learning French and didn't get very far. So I'm always impressed that you can kind of speak to Swedes in English and they'll kind of hesitate for a second and then go, oh yeah, okay, yeah, sweet. No worries, like we can speak English. But it's like how much time does it take you to kind of translate it in your head? Like are you translating it 1-to-1 or
I think it's like your brain needs a second to like turn over to English, and then when you're speaking to me, I'm not translating it into Swedish. It's just
right. Yeah.
It's just there. I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah. No, that's
That's
cool.
not my
It's really
thing. That's not my thing. I can explain a lot of stuff about goalkeeping, but
Not how your mind works.
no.
Yeah.
All right. I am ready if you guys are.
Yeah,
Sure.
sweet.
Hi, and welcome to... I was about to say episode number 18. I'm not supposed to do that. This always takes us a few tries to get the intro. All right, let's go again. Hi, and welcome to Goalie Talk, episode number 5 with Pontus.
And with you, well,
And today we have with us someone who moved all the way from New Zealand to Sweden to pursue his floorball goaltending career. He's a friend of ours and possibly one of the nicest people in Sweden. Chris McConnachie, welcome.
Thank you very much, my friend. It's nice to be here, and you're too kind.
It's only right I return the favor. So what I would like to know, and probably most of the people listening would know, how come growing up in New Zealand you chose floorball?
Well, that's kind of actually like the planets aligned kind of for me. It was a really bizarre coincidences actually. So when I was playing, when I was going through high school, one of the sports that cropped up just as, you know, in physical education class was this thing called unihoc. And like none of us had really ever seen the equipment before, but we played it and I wasn't half bad at it. And I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. And then of course leave high school and never think of it again. And then I moved around New Zealand for work a couple of times, had just moved to a new city, and then an email goes out to the whole company saying, hey, have you ever heard of this sport called like this name, floorball or unihawk? And I was like, hey, yeah, I have actually. Like, and so they were like, well, if you want to give it a go, there's a social team playing, you know, like I'm making a new team, so just flick me an email. And I was like, well, I've been in this country, this city for like, you know, 3 weeks, so why not? So I took the plunge and I emailed and I was like, hey, I played it in high school. I'm probably really bad, but can I join up? And then that was kind of it. Like I've been playing ever since then, and so it's almost 6 years now. But it was kind of like perfect little alignment of the stars, planets.
when you were in high school, did you get a chance to try the goalkeeping stuff too, or did that come later?
No, we didn't even know they had goalkeepers. So it was we had those. I think the Swedes call them banana sticks. Yeah. And so were those, and then and just I don't even know if we had goals. We might have just had like a couple of shoes or something. But it was real official back in the day. So yeah, it was no goalkeepers. And then when I joined the social team, I kind of wanted to give goalkeeping a go. Like I wanted to volunteer as goalkeeper, but I could see that it was going to really hurt, and I didn't really want to just jump in and then be like, oh, actually I suck. Sorry, you know, brand new team. Because I'd never done it before, of course. And then they ended up getting another goalkeeper anyway, and so I was marginally disappointed. But I played for a field player for a couple of years, and then made the switch.
So where did the interest of playing as goalkeeper come from?
I don't know. I think it had always kind of been there. Like I had always kind of watched the goalkeepers and been like, man, that kind of looks like a lot of fun, you know. And it's probably really insane to say that as a field player looking at a goalie going, that looks enjoyable. But that was kind of it. And it also, I tried to always make sure to thank our goalies after the game because it looked like a really rough position to be in, you know, especially on my brand new team. So we had to apologize a lot. But I was a soccer goalie, like football goalie, for like a one season when I was younger, like really young, like 10 years old. But then that was kind of my only previous goalkeeping experience. So it was just kind of this, like I started playing and I was like, hey, kind of looks like fun. And then got a chance to try it and then was like, man, that's really good. Maybe I should go and, you know, take some trainings and see if I can get better just in case the team needs a backup goalie, you know. And then that was it. It was like head first off the cliff into goalie land. So
Did they have like fully equipped goalkeeping gear when you started out, or?
Yeah, so in New Zealand they have, at least in Wellington where I was playing, they had like club gear. So you turn up and you just grab some gear out of the cupboard or off the racks that they have now, and go and play. And there's always like another goalie being like, "Yeah, come on, you know, take the pants off." So because they need it for the next game, which is starting. So it's a bit rushed, but you know, I think the more serious ones eventually got their own gear. But yeah, initially when you're first starting, like there's all these social goalies just kind of standing at the rink, being like, "Look, I gotta play. You know, give me the helmet, give me everything." So it's there's definitely the gear, which is kind of nice. Except for the shoes, and I learned very quickly that was going to be the first piece of gear that I needed to buy. I could see myself getting injured really fast, like just doing all the movements and using like crappy old, you know, tennis shoes, sort of running shoes.
Definitely, they are actually apart from the helmet, you know, in order to be able to play, but they have to be the most detrimental piece of equipment that you can, you know, get wrong.
Yeah, I think when I first tried it and I was just playing, and I think I was actually playing in like court shoes, like floorball court shoes, and I kind of tried to push and I could feel it in my ankles, and I was like, man, my foot is going one way and the rest of me is going another. Like that's gonna hurt real bad, real fast. So I saved up and just got some shoes, and then kept using like club gear and these brand new like Selming shoes.
I remember when I started to play, like I was 14 years old, and floorball goalie shoes didn't really exist. So you could either buy wrestling shoes, or I used like indoor soccer shoes, and I used is it called coach tape, sport tape?
Oh yeah.
And I taped the like toe part of the shoe so I could slide, but I still had like grip under the shoe, so that worked too. But
nice.
They're really thin, so it hurts as hell when you get a shot on the toe.
Oh yeah, I can imagine actually.
I would say getting a shot on the what did it even call in English? Fotknöl.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm gonna show you in the camera, like this little thing here.
Oh, ankle bone.
Oh shit! Yeah, that one.
Very athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember those being one of the more painful shots you could get. On the little,
for sure.
So for the listeners, the little bone sticking out just on top of your ankle, or the bottom of your ankle. How do you describe the position of this thing?
On the side of your ankle?
Yeah, side of your ankle makes more sense.
Just also a note to our listeners: if there is a bone sticking out the bottom of your ankle, please call a doctor.
Right. I'm gonna. Yeah, it's called the malleus.
The malleus.
Malleus is the anatomical name for it. Anyway, I assume you had to get all this stuff online, because I also assume that there were no floorball shops.
Yes, one of the guys there, who's actually one of the guys who started the whole. To the best of my knowledge, he started floorball in Wellington, and his name is Christian Birchinger, and he started a store there so that you can buy sticks and everything. And he occasionally had goalie stuff, but there wasn't a lot of demand for it, I think, because everyone just used club gear. But he could also order stuff. So eventually I went to him and said, "Hey, look, I really need some shoes. How quickly can you get me some?" So he grabbed me some and sent them my way, and then that was it. It was actually surprisingly easy. So yeah, it was good. I think we were very lucky to have somebody like on board already with the stuff.
I remember. As you probably know, or maybe you don't, I work extra in the Målvaktsfokus, the floorball store in Gothenburg, one of the ones.
Right.
And usually I don't. Well, you know, I help out anywhere in the store that needs help, but mostly on goalie things. But they always call me to the shoe department whenever there's a goalie parent asking, "Why should I invest in a pair of €150 shoes for my 12-year-old instead of their normal sneakers?"
Yeah.
And I'm always like, let me tell you a story. Because, you know, the reasons for having goalie shoes over normal sneakers is just like, it's like playing with. It's like a whole new sport when you play with or without goalie shoes.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I just went on this tangent because I admire you saying that the first piece of equipment you wanted was like, I need those shoes.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was like doing the push movement, and it was kind of as best I could, and just feeling the stress on my ankle, and I was like, I cannot do this with like flat foot on the ground and then
exactly.
push and to the side. I was like, it just doesn't work without injuring me badly. So I was like, I got to get the shoes so I can actually do that movement. And yeah, I'm super glad I did. I still think that was the right choice.
I do too. But other than playing as a soccer goalie for a season or so, what is your sports background other than floorball as well?
Then? Very limited. I think I kind of dabbled in a few sports growing up, but was definitely more a you'll find me inside playing video games kind of child.
My type of kid.
Yeah, right. So I played soccer or football for a few seasons, I think, when I was younger. But I was A, not very good, and B, only a goalie for like one season. And then I also played like basketball around the same age and was probably equally bad. I think I was really known for like fouling people, getting penalties.
Yeah.
So I was great on defense unless you wanted to give them free throws or free shots. Then I was not so great. But that was kind of it. I think when I got to my 20s, like early 20s, a friend of mine was just like, oh, hey, we've got this indoor cricket team. Do you want to come along and play? We need an extra player. It doesn't matter how good you are. I was like, yeah, all right. And that was kind of the first time I'd actually played sport in a team in like 6 or 7 years. And then I ended up playing with them for like a year, and then I stopped and moved around, and then I eventually fell into floorball. But that was it. It was, yeah, like nothing kind of serious or nothing really long term, just sports as a child, and then floorball eventually. So
were you a basketball center?
No, I think I was a defense, but then maybe that's just because I just chased everybody and they always went for my hoops, or so did I.
Right, but so did you play under the basket? Because I reckon you were tall as a kid as well.
No, actually, fun fact, I was very, very short as a child. I was known as the little one. And then I got to like age 15 or 16, and I shot up in height by like a good 30 to 40 centimeters.
Right.
And I'm now the tallest in my family by, I don't know, good 20 centimeters at least.
Yeah, you are tall. So did you play under the basket or did you play on the perimeter?
I couldn't tell you, to be honest. It's a long time ago.
Right. No, me and Joel has been into basketball for a long time. I started earlier this year, I think. I started, and I have become obsessed with the NBA since.
Oh yeah, right.
I have even emailed a club about joining an amateur team.
Oh really?
For oldies, yeah.
Nice.
I am so into basketball. It's
wow.
Outside of floorball, that to me is the number one sport. What's yours?
Wow. I was just gonna say, like, to me, outside of floorball, there is no sport. That's it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I always wanted to play ice hockey growing up, but I never got into it.
Have you tried it?
Yeah. No, I didn't. I went to see my friend play, and he was very injured when he came off, so I decided not to sign up after that.
All right. Well, your powers of deduction are sound.
Thank you. Yeah.
So sports in New Zealand. So you mentioned cricket, and then it's rugby, I guess, with the All Blacks.
Yes. I often wonder if I'm like the only New Zealander who doesn't care about rugby.
Right.
But I think it's probably one of those, I don't really have any great interest in it. And then you get it like force-fed sort of, you must like rugby. New Zealanders like rugby. We all like rugby. Why don't you? Is there something wrong with you? And so it becomes an issue. Whereas before you're just like, no, I can't really be bothered watching that. So it went from like no interest to like, oh, leave me alone with the rugby. But that is it is absolutely massive in New Zealand. And I will confess, I did watch the World Cup when they played at home, and that was pretty cool. So, but rugby is huge. Cricket is maybe second or third. Netball is quite common as well. I don't know how
Did you see? Did you see
that.
both me and Joel did this?
Yes, at the same time. It was really good. Have you been practicing the frown of confusion?
Oh, we're just the same person. Netball. Yeah, actually, basketball shows up.
Oh, okay.
Or something of the likes.
Hang on, let me try my good friend.
It's like basketball
Google
without
Translate.
the backboard. That's really bizarre.
Yes, and you're not allowed to move with the ball, so no dribbling or anything like basketball. I didn't like it because you can trap people from getting away, and then that person gets penalized for being too close. And so it's like, because if they go to take a shot, you have to back off or something. I can't remember the exact rules. You have to be like a certain distance away, but somebody can step in behind you and stop you from moving. And so even though you're trying to get away, you're too close at the time they did something. Therefore, you get penalized for it. And I was like, this is a mean sport. I don't think I like this one.
I'm looking at some pictures now, and they are like legit hugging people from behind. Yep. People who are in possession of the ball.
Right sport.
And it also looks massive. Like there are a lot of people there.
Yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, I would say New Zealand and Australia, South Africa and Jamaica. I think I want to say Jamaica. I don't know if that's right. But they're like the big they're the ones to beat sort of thing. Yeah, so, no, Google Translate tells me it's basketball as well.
Is this predominantly a women's sport? Because all the pictures that come up are of female players.
Yes, it is. I think professional netball is almost exclusively, if not entirely exclusively, women's sport.
Right.
Like social teams have guys in them as well, but I think like professional level is all women's sport. So
it looks so bizarre to play basketball without the backboard. You will. Have you looked it up?
I need to do that right now.
Yes.
Netball.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I really interrupted your.
Wow.
Interrupted
your arena.
Yeah. I'm gonna look up
netball. Never heard of it.
Diamond top 10 netball World Cup moments. I just need to have a quick look. Australian. What did you say? Australian netball diamonds.
That must be like how floorball must have looked to you the first time. It looks bizarre.
Yeah. I'm just like, what are all these people doing? Surely that can't hurt that much. Surprise.
Wow. Oh, it looks cool, but weird. Super weird.
Wow. When she has the ball under the basket, they literally leave her alone.
Yeah, I think they have to. That's the situation I was talking about. Like, you have to back off, but they can, like, the person, like, so the team with the ball can get another player behind you so that you can't back off, and then you get penalized.
It's like you put a screen on
away.
them.
Yeah. And it was really bizarre. And I remember I got really angry because I got penalized that way. And I was like, this is the only sport where you can get penalized for trying to do the right thing. Like, you have to back off. So you back off and you can't. Like, they can hold you in place.
So it would be like a free hit in floorball. And if you're too close and they shoot and you try to back off and the opposing team like screens you, you get like 2-minute penalty.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, and that, to me, in floorball, I would say that's really unsporting of the team, right?
Yeah,
but in netball, that's kind of the way that it goes. So
that's
I think
strat.
maybe I just don't understand the rules. But
I mean, when just the way this looks, when they hit the assist or the goal giving pass, and she's posted under the basket with the ball, she literally stops all and any effort to do anything and just like reaches her hand up slowly and like. Just like lays it in there. It looks. How do you play defense here?
I have no idea. I never figured it out.
Because this was a World Cup, like a final in the World Cup, and I think it's between New Zealand and Australia.
Oh yeah.
And
If
there was
it's
no
New
defense.
Zealand,
They're just like standing, like as close as I appear in the camera, standing like this and watching you score. Like,
damn! I wish I could have saved that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Can you imagine how good it would be in floorball? Well, not for goalies, but all right, you got the pass. We got to back off now.
Yeah, and just
like how much of a different game would that be, right?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I encourage everyone to look up netball. That looks okay. Let's say fascinating.
Will be blown. This is great.
So compare then the floorball scene in New Zealand to Sweden. Is there a comparison?
Very small. Very small. I would say the number of people that turn up when I play at Liljeholmen in Stockholm for like Korpen is probably on par with how many people we have in Wellington in New Zealand. So and Wellington is by far the largest floorball community. So I mean, like, Liljeholmen Korpen is pretty big, and it goes on from like super early in the morning to after dark. But it's like it's New Zealand. I mean, it's a small country and a very, I'd say it's a new sport. Like in the last maybe somewhere between the 5 and 10 years, I think. It's probably 10 years now. So it's it's still early stages, I think.
Do you think there's a chance that floorball could like get recognized in New Zealand, so it's a sport that people go to more and start to play more?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of love for it. People turn up and they're kind of blown away that they can just borrow a stick and play. Like that's all they need. There's no special gear. They can borrow a stick for free. So it's super easy to get into. And at the end of the day, you're just running around in circles with a bunch of mates. And so it's kind of like, hey, that's actually kind of fun, So you get a lot of people coming back week after week just because it's fun exercise, And then people start to be like, hey, I really kind of wish I was better at this. Maybe I'll go to the club trainings, or hey, I'm starting to get good at this. Maybe I'll join one of the club teams and play competitively. So it's a very quick downward or upward spiral. There's a lot of love for it, and it's super easy to get people hooked, I think. So I think I would love to see it get that big.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, if you go and play with like, as you call it, social games, like work friends and stuff like that, do people know in New Zealand like how to kind of play defense? Do they have like 2-1-2 setups, or is it just like everyone to the ball?
Everyone to the ball, yeah, as fast as possible, generally swinging sticks. But I think the skill level does change drastically as you go up through the grades. So like, the new teams is just like everyone on the ball all the time, and the goalie sitting there going, don't come towards me, but then you step up a couple of grades and there's kind of like, hey, the team's kind of trying to pass, like you kind of see the semblance of tactics, and then you kind of step up a couple of grades, and it's like, oh, hey, maybe there's one like competitive player who's kind of come down to help these guys, and these guys are passing and playing fairly structuredly. But I think in terms of like overall structure and tactics and stuff, we don't quite have the background knowledge of it or the background experience that a lot of Swedes have. Like, you guys grow up playing it, right? Like, you play it since you were tiny, and so you kind of, nobody plays it for like 10 years and then they come back and they're super good, and it's like, oh yeah, I played when I was little, and then they come on and they're like amazing. And we don't have that kind of I guess childhood experience to kind of up the minimum level, So a lot of people, myself included, I mean, I started when I was like 26, whereas so we start as adults, I think. So it's not necessarily a steeper learning curve, but we kind of suffer a bit from the lack of that knowledge. So hopefully it is getting into schools now, though. So in like one generation, we're going to get thrashed by little kids. It's going to be fantastic.
That's going to have to be the major thing that has to happen, though, right? To get to the schools, to reach across Even though, as you say, New Zealand is small, but
yeah,
surely that has to be the most efficient way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at least when I left, the three kind of major cities were all had like contacts in schools, and they would get school groups through, particularly like summer holidays or just holidays. We would have school groups and stuff. And it was kind of funny because I worked super close to the stadium when I was there, so I would like pop over for lunchtime practices every now and then. And you'd go in and you'd be like, hey, like there's another floorballer here. Like, what are you doing here? And they're like, oh, I'm here to teach the kids. And then like 120 kids just run in, and you're like, oh, I forgot my gear. I have to go. Yeah. It's just like there's a lot of kids, and they just run in and they grab the sticks and they'll go for it. And it's awesome to see. Like I think the schools seem to really enjoy it. And it's really cool to see that like it growing that young as well. I think it's a perfect step. So it'll be cool.
So mine just started to wonder, like, what if we one day could like go to New Zealand and have a goalie camp there, or start showing floorball, like you were going there too, Pontus, right? In my mind, like, why don't they like show like, I think the finals here in Sweden, they put it on YouTube, right?
Yes.
Finals game. Why don't they show it over there? Maybe they do, I don't know, but like to get a glimpse of how it could be.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I can't answer why they don't. I think it's usually kind of like for stuff like that is like you kind of organize it and be like invite everyone along. But that's how it was when I was there. So it'd be like, oh, hey, I want to watch this. I'm going to put it on. Everyone come over. But they, and in terms of like a goalie camp in New Zealand, I mean, I think you would absolutely get the numbers, and I think, like, ideally, hypothetically speaking, right? Put it in Wellington because it's in the middle, and that's where the bulk of the people are, and then people from Auckland can come down, and people from Christchurch can go up, and then I think you'd pretty easily make numbers. I think the only catch is the you have to have the honest expectation of the level, because we had a couple of SSL players come over for like summer camps and stuff, and they were like, they're field players, but I think their kind of initial reaction was, oh, I kind of thought they were going to be, like the level was going to be a bit better. So they're kind of thinking in terms of like Swedes at that age who have the background experience, who have the childhood experience. And then they turned up, and there's like people like me who had been playing for 9 months or something, and trying not to hit somebody with my stick. But it's, I think it's not a bad thing. It's just you have to be aware of the like an honest expectation of the level, and then you have no problems. And I think the people will absolutely be keen. So
do you have any like goalie coaches or any type of like coaching for goalies over there?
Very well. For a long time when I first started playing, it was very little. It was 1 hour a month run by the same guy, Mike Stagg. And that was kind of cool, especially when you're first starting out. And there was quite a few people going along, and I went to quite a few of them. And then, but the trouble was that as soon as you start getting to the same level that he's playing, and there wasn't like another coach, there wasn't like an advanced coach to teach people who are playing competitively, so it was kind of, you get to a certain point, and then you're kind of playing at a higher level, going through basic training for an hour a month, which is not, it's kind of like, it's not as helpful as it could be, I guess. It's better than nothing for sure, but we had a Swiss goalie come over to visit, and he was kind of like, like, that's it. Like after the hour, he was like, that's it. You've only just started, like you've only just set up, and now you have to pack up. So unfortunately, he left before he wanted to get all of his get a lot more goalie training going, and then he went back to Switzerland. So, but I think just before I left, and since I have left, I believe they've made a better push to get more goalie coaching, especially for the national teams. Maria Hegarty, the New Zealand women's goalie, she's currently in Falun, playing with the women's Falun team, both for her own sake of just playing in Sweden and also to learn as much as she can while she's here and then go back and train the next generation of goalkeepers. I know secondhand through Pontus actually that Rachel Birchinger, the other New Zealand women's goalie, is currently playing in Switzerland, I think. So it's, I think we're slowly reaching out internationally, and there is coaching growing, and then like people like Maria who've gone away and learnt and then going back. So there's steps in the right direction, but it's still like super early days. Like when I first started playing, it was like, if you want, a higher level goalie coaching, you fly yourself to Latvia.
So on the topic of levels, or I completely lost my train of thought.
Well, I have a question. If you don't find your words,
yeah.
I was thinking, since you've been in Sweden for a while, are you planning to go back to New Zealand and maybe pick up coaching yourself over there, or?
Honestly, no. I quite like it here in Sweden. I'm actually pretty keen to stay and keep playing. In Sweden, and just kind of push my way up and see how high I can get and be the best goalie that I can be. Probably won't make it to the SSL, but who knows?
Hey, you have to shoot for stars. Maybe you get there.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Honest expectations, but also why not aim for that? So yeah.
That was always my mentality. Like,
yeah, right.
I started to play seriously when I was 22. I have played in my teenage years, but when I was 22, I really said like, okay, let's make a push for it. And nobody really believed that I could do it because it was such an unrealistic thought. Like,
yeah, right.
But you have to aim there, and maybe you get there. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then I got the phone call when I was traveling, and he was like,
wow.
"I've been contacted by an SSL club." Maybe it was a text message, or maybe it was a phone call. I can't remember.
I think I gave you a phone call.
Yeah, I think so too.
Nice.
I was like completely out of nowhere, because I know you were unhappy with wherever you were before, and then all of a sudden, like, I'm going to the SSL. I'm like, wait, what?
Nice.
Yeah. But then it was like I started out in the lowest division here in northern Sweden, and then I started to make my way up. So I played like Division 1, and then I got to Allsvenskan, the second highest division. So it wasn't like I went from completely trash to the Super League in just one day. So
no, but you did move across country, across Sweden. Like from just being like, I don't know what I want to do, what club I want to be in, blah blah blah, and then like boom, SSL. That was really cool. Had you not been injured, you would have been a major impact in the SSL, I'm sure.
Who knows? But I was still wondering about the coaching thing in New Zealand for you. Do you think, if you're not moving there, do you ever see yourself maybe going back there and coaching like once a year, or for a goalie camp, for example?
Yeah, I mean, like I think for a goalie camp would be kind of fun, because I still know like heaps of people there, and I think just getting to see everybody again, and like it's very good kind of intermediary as well. Is like I could be the baby goalie coach, and you guys could be the proper goalie coaches. And so like I know a lot of the people, so I can be like, hey, listen on these guys, they're really good, they know what they're talking about.
Right.
But yeah, I think I would have a long way to go before I went back and like could justifiably be like, yeah, I'm gonna run a goalie camp. But if I was in the city and had my gear and somebody asked me a question, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think
not in the near future.
No, it's also on the other side of the world, so it's really, really long.
Yeah,
way
it's
to go.
it's not a day walk.
Yeah, for sure.
No, but I also think you're selling yourself. Well, I know you're selling yourself short as well, because you are also a very what's the word? Humble
I would
person.
say smart.
Yes, intelligent, but also very humble, and I know this from the fact that when we've been playing Heroes of the Storm, and you're like, I'm gonna run like a bunch more games before I start playing with people, and I'm like, you can play with other people, like, and also if you think about this from the perspective of the New Zealanders, like here comes someone organizing a goalie camp. I think the fact that there's a goalie camp is going to be impactful enough, and I don't think they're going to be like, it's a goalie camp, but it's with this guy, so I don't think I'm going to go to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, I think it would be good. And I think, to be honest, like any goalie training there, people are going to jump all over it. Like it would be amazing, I think, for the goalies to have that exposure to people playing in other countries and, at this level. So and I mean, maybe we start an exchange. We send Swedes down there to visit, and they can teach people, and then New Zealanders can come here and learn how to play floorball. And it doesn't really benefit Sweden in any way, but it's going to be awesome for New Zealand. So,
yeah, we talked about this, you and I, before, I believe, about actually doing something in New Zealand.
Yes.
So yeah. I honestly think that that's something we should look into.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, to be honest, if you want me to send emails, just let me know, and I will touch base with the people down there, and I'm sure somebody will be interested. So we can look at sorting something out. So
we really should. I look forward to going there a lot.
Yes.
So with the level of your team in Stockholm, like what division are they? I know you told me this at some point.
We're in Division 4. Yes. So I kind of I didn't want to shoot myself in the foot by jumping in as high as I could, because I was like, I want to play in Division 1 or something, but honestly, I know that I'm not at that level. And so it was kind of almost like I wanted to play in Division 1 for the renown of playing in Division 1, while also knowing that I was not at the skill level of Division 1 goalies, especially having seen them play now. But I had some friends recommend, hey, just start with Division 4 and work your way up and see how it goes. Like you'll be fine in Division 4. And then I just had a Facebook message from a friend who was like, hey, this team's advertising they need players. They're in Division 4. Do you want to, you should try out, man. Like, I think you'll be fine. So I got in touch and signed up, and that was kind of it. I played for those guys that season. So it was pretty good. I think the most encouraging thing about it, aside from just the people that I played with, but the situation was that at no point did I feel outclassed. I was never out of my depth. It was like, yeah, I've got a lot to learn, or I made a mistake here, or so I let a goal in there. But it was never like, oh man, I'm so screwed, I need to get out of this team. It was always like, oh, cool, yeah, I just need to practice this a bit more, or I'll get faster as I go,
So you got a really appropriate entry level.
I think so, yeah. It was kind of a perfect starting point for me. And then now, like yours says, the sky's the limit. So, yeah, see what's next.
So how come you decided to make the move to Sweden with your girlfriend?
Well, that one is... I think that it started as kind of wouldn't that be great? Watching YouTube videos of Sweden play and SSL and being like, man, wouldn't it be so cool to go over and play, just get experience playing amongst the top country in the world. And then I never took it seriously. It was always kind of like a daydream, and then I went for lunch with a friend, and he was unhappy with his situation about in his life, and he had decided to do something about it. And he was like, well, I've found my passion, it's this, and so I'm going to leave my work, I'm going to go and study for this amount of time, I'm going to do blah and blah and blah, I'm going to move to this country and do this and this, and then I'm going to go and look for a job in this new industry that I've just retrained in, because that's what I'm really passionate about. And it was like, it kind of felt almost overnight for this guy, but it was like, he had put in so much research and so much time into making this plan, and he was like, I'm going to do it. And I was like, man, that's really cool. I really wish I knew what my passion was. And he kind of just stopped, and he looks at me and he goes, are you serious? It's goalkeeping. Like, you always bring it up. Like, every time we go for lunch, you find a way to mention goalkeeping. And I was just like, yeah, you're right. And then I went home and I went home to my girlfriend and was like, so yeah, what do you think about moving to Sweden? She's like right now? I'm like, no, just, eventually in the future. And she's like, all right. And that was kind of it. We were like, oh, so this is actually this is something we could do, and that kind of, it put a fresh spin on it. It wasn't just a daydream anymore. It was like, hey, this is actually there's a plan that we could do this, and there's a willingness to do this. And so we kind of started looking around, and then we just started looking into it a bit more. And then we were like, hey, actually, maybe we go at the end of this year. And then we looked and we found a job, and then we found a place to stay, and then that was kind of it. Everything just fell into place super fast once we decided to go. And I actually didn't have a farewell party in New Zealand because it was just so fast. From actually getting confirmed that we could enter and work in the country to arriving in the country was 3 weeks or something, 4 weeks. So, and we were keeping it super quiet until we actually got everything signed off. So our work visas and everything. It was like, okay, can we actually do it? Because if we tell everyone and then it falls through, that's going to really suck. So it was kind of, the whole process, I think, from applying took a little over 6 months to getting in. And then we were here, and it was like, oh, now what? Now I have to find some games. So messaged some friends who I had in Sweden, who had I had some friends who had spent a year in New Zealand, and they randomly found Floorball and we were amazed that it was a thing. So they played with us, and then they helped me get some games. And then a friend of mine from New Zealand as well, he was playing here, and so he helped me get some games. And then that was it. Once you're a goalie in Sweden, man, you're best buds with everybody. It didn't take a long time to find teams to play. So
what do you do? What do you do other than goaltending, other than Floorball? What does she do, and you?
In terms of job or just in life?
A bit of both, but mainly, how do you stay alive? How do you sustain yourself?
Well, we work in visual effects, so for film and TV, and so it's a desk job, working on working on film and TV, working on the computer graphics side, so making stuff that isn't really real. And we work in Riddarholmen in Stockholm, so a company called Important Looking Pirates, which is one of the most fantastic company names I've ever heard of. So that was great.
Again?
Important Looking Pirates.
That's a World of Warcraft guild type name.
It's actually a reference to Monkey Island, the Curse of Monkey Island. Yeah. Apparently, I think it's something like you walk into a room and there's a bunch of important-looking pirates sitting around. So
that's the best company name ever.
Yeah, right.
How does that combine with Floorball? Do you work late ever, or is it
not so much actually? We have it's pretty rigidly 9 to 6. Unless you've been asked to do overtime, you don't really. There's no requirement to it or expectation of it. And so I, on Tuesdays, I take my goalie gear to work and I just tuck it away. And then I go straight from work to training and I make it, perfectly on time. So, and then weekends overtime again is is almost non-existent. So there's no interruption of games and stuff. So it's really great. It's very flexible and free for us, which is really cool.
That's great.
So you started Floorball at 26.
Yes, I started at the age that Patrick Orman retired.
No, he didn't retire at 26.
Didn't he?
I actually think that he got his first SSL starting goalie position at 26 when he moved from Dalen to AIK.
Ah.
I retired at 26 though, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there we go.
It's almost the same.
It is. It's true.
Well, I retired at 17, so.
Ah, true.
You know, so as a 26-year-old, or the worst actually, considering I retired after 3 years.
Yeah.
So as a 26-year-old, starting in a sport and a position that is actually really physically demanding and very unique and complex, what has been the most difficult thing to improve? What was your biggest challenge, or has been so far, or is now?
Oh, I think the different movement styles, and also just learning angles. Like, it's on one hand, it's very easy to be like, oh yep, cool, I move out from the center of my goal, I'm in angles. But then he takes 3 steps to the left and you track him, and if your tracking is slightly off, then you're wildly out in your angles in your new place. And I think it's really difficult to learn that. I think for me, at least it was for me, and thanks to the pandemic, I've been down at the hole, hire it out, just myself and my girlfriend, so we have somewhere to exercise. So I go down with my gear and I film myself in front of a goal, and I'm like, man, I played an entire season in Sweden with angles like that. Like, I should have checked this a long time ago. So it's I think, I think in New Zealand, goalies also, when I first started, we had a habit, I guess, of being very static, like being like super big and generally correct in angles, but very static. And so when you kind of go out to meet somebody, you kind of like develop a secondary habit of like settling down a bit, which makes it even harder to move, because then you kind of got to like lift up and engage everything again and then shuffle across. And so you kind of just aren't used to moving, or at least I certainly wasn't for a long time, like moving nicely. And also just the different styles of movement, like learning that actually a pull and a push gets me moves you way further than you think it does initially. And doing knee to knee, it feels super tiny, but you're perfectly on point the whole way around. Is like when you gave me the tip a little while ago, a few months back, and we're like, hey, I want you to try knee to knee, and I did it, and I felt like I was always out, but actually was like, oh wow, this is like, I'm winding up in the right place every time. So I think it was probably just kind of like a result, a repercussion of not really having like a more coaching, I guess, more advanced coaching as well. Of you kind of just emulate what other people are doing, and everybody on TV, when they makes a save, they're in one position, so that's what you do. So they don't show, Ewan Headland doing knee to knee perfectly. Like, that doesn't make the highlight reel, right? Unfortunately,
nope, that's not.
So so kind of learning the in between things, the things that most goalies at that higher levels do without thinking about it, is you just kind of don't realize that you're supposed to learn it, I think. And then eventually you get the coaching and you're like, this is game changing. But it's it's just that you were missing that one vital piece. So
I would say that's the thing that differentiates the best goalies from the rest, is like, and I'm not talking about just like national team goalies. I'm talking about the ones that play in the Swedish Super League, and it's just, we do the ground also, like what's it called, the main movements, like knee to knees and stuff like. We do that really well, and then the last thing that we really like difference them from the rest of the goalies is the mental thing. The like throwing all across the goal and making the highlight reel saves. Everyone can do that. So
yeah,
you make a great point there.
So to any other late bloomers or late starters even, what do you recommend if you're gonna be new into floorball goaltending? Doesn't really matter what age, but you're gonna be new. What do you think? According to you, is the first thing that someone should put effort into to learn or to practice?
I would say angles. Like, learn to move around in front of your goal and get your angles right, and you will be covered like 80% of the time. Hand-eye coordination can come with time, and a lot of, like, there's a lot of things that are like, this will help you, but to be honest, how many times have you seen a goalie just shuffle over, be in the right place at the right time, and take a ball to their chest? Like, and everyone's like, oh, you shot it right at the goalie. And I remember that this sentence really annoys you, Pontus.
It does,
it's like,
yeah.
they shot it right at the goalie. It's like, no, it means that the goalie did their job. So by getting their angles correct, they stopped the shot in the middle of their chest, and that means that they judged it perfectly. And so I think the first kind of the easiest thing to do that would give you the most efficiency when you're first starting would be angles, and just get that right, and just focus on doing that over and over and over and over again. And then everything else you can learn on the job, right? Like, better catching, better hand-eye coordination. It's like, how many goalkeepers in the SSL catch on a regular basis?
Yeah, no, the shots are too hard most of the time.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so it's kind of like, if she said the catching is your most important thing, then you get to higher level stuff, and all of that gets thrown out the window. So it's like, I think angles is like, it's appropriate to every level, and I think it's also going to cover the bulk of your play.
Yeah.
So it's
So basically, when you, just to clarify as well, when you say get your angles right, just do what you did: place the iPad or the phone or the camera or whatever in certain angles, and then move yourself into the angle of the camera and see how much you're covering.
Yeah, basically, yeah, for sure. And I think I mean, I'm not fancy enough to have an iPad so much, so I just legit use my phone. Like, I mean, sorry, I don't mean that like disparagingly. I just mean like, like a lot of coaches have an iPad, but for everyday people, they will just have like their cell phones and stuff. So more encouragement, like if you've just got your cell phone, like that's totally legit. Like, set your cell phone up against your drink bottle, and then record a video, and then slide out to meet your camera, and then go and turn it off and have a look. And so like, that's totally valid, and that's totally good enough. Like, you don't need like fancy tech to do this exercise. You don't need another person. You don't need like the live the ability of being able to watch yourself on the iPad as you do it. You can just make a video. It's totally cool. And I think getting that direct feedback of like, the camera doesn't lie.
No, it doesn't.
You see yourself and you're like, I am so far out. Like, I suddenly understand where all of those goals went last season. And actually, like, you can then slide out and be like, okay, so I think this is correct, and learn your kind of your position based on like the little goal box, and how far you are away from your goal and stuff. Like, have tactile feedback, like touch things, look at things, look at where you are on the court, like learn that position, and then record yourself on the camera, and then go back and be like, oh yeah, that was cool, that was correct. Okay, so I know that if I want to hit that point, I need to be here on the court. And it makes it sound kind of like black magic, but it's super not. Like, it's legit. Just do the same thing, like, with some repetition, and just like take the time to look around when you're in position, and see what's there. So
I think that's really great sound advice.
Thank you.
So now to round out, we're going to do something called One Gotta Go.
One gotta go?
Are you familiar with it?
I am not.
Right. So one gotta go. I'm going to give you 4 options. Out of these 4, you have to exclude one with everything that it encompasses.
Right. Okay.
And how it goes is I give you all of the 4 ones, and then you tell me which one you would like to save, like keep first. This one is safe. And then you have 3 left, and then okay, now I want to save this one. And then eventually you will come down to 2, and you will make a final with one of those 2, or with those 2, and then one of those 2 has got to go.
Okay.
And we are doing one franchise gotta go.
Okay.
And you have to exclude one of the following franchises with all that it encompasses: Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and Marvel Universe.
Oh.
And what I want you to do is tell us the first one that you would like to keep and why.
Okay. Oh, that's tough, man. That's some tough choices.
I was hoping it would be.
Yeah. I gotta think of some good criteria to judge this on, because it's some pretty heavy hitters. So I'm gonna say that I'm gonna keep Star Wars, the basis that it's science fiction and kind of fun.
Right.
And I'm going to say,
Joe will love that one.
Yeah. And I've got to say that the Marvel universe got to go, because it's kind of a newcomer to the heavy hitters. It's not quite as like, it's a classic as the others.
Wow.
Although,
Okay. So you did speed ahead a little bit here, but you did give us the answer though. So out of the four, you will keep Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, and Harry Potter, and let Marvel go. So sorry, finish your train of thought.
No. That's about it.
Yeah. Go back to it. Why are you excluding Marvel?
Oh, it's not. Are we trying to find why it should be excluded? I'm excluding it because it doesn't quite fit in the same kind of classics category as me, as the others. To me personally, I know that it's been around for ever and ever, and they've been doing comics, but then it's weird saying get rid of Marvel but keep Harry Potter. Yeah. But I mean, I think Harry Potter has a special place in my heart because I grew up at the same age reading the books. So that was kind of like, yeah, it's got a bit of a personal spin on it, you know. Like, I was the same age as the main character as he grew up, and the books got kind of, they aged well with the character. So
so you were born
I enjoyed those.
88. Okay, so you were the same age as Rupert Grint, the guy playing Ron.
Ah, okay.
Harry is what's his face? Daniel Radcliffe is 89 and Hermione is born 90, same as me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I just know this so detailed now because we are currently watching through the Harry Potter movies.
Very nice, very nice.
I mean, I guess I completely respect your rationale. I also would encourage you to, when you see Matthias Tiger the next time, I would like you to tell him that you're excluding the Marvel universe, and you will have a very interesting discussion.
Oh no, I value all of my limbs being attached. I'm not sure I want to pick that fight.
Like when we were at the Goalie camp in Stockholm, we shared a hotel room, and we were, I don't know how much late we were, but we were late to the dinner because we could not get out of the hotel room discussing Captain America. It was to the point where, you know, one was in the shower and one was standing just outside and just like talking to the other one showering to be able to argue all the time. And then we switched. I got dressed and talked to him while he was in the shower. And then they called us and like, are you coming to dinner? We're like, oh shit. Right. That's a weird anecdote. Anyway, that's all the time that we have for this time. So first of all, thank you to everyone who has been listening, who has been giving comments and feedback. We appreciate you a lot. If you want additional content, you can go on to patreon.com/målvaktsnack. You will see the link in our Instagram bio. There we upload one bonus episode per ordinary episode uploaded. And you can also find us on YouTube, where we upload all the episodes in video format if you for some reason want to watch them. And of course, thank you so much, Chris, for joining us this lovely Thursday evening.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Glad to. Hope to have you back on soon.
Yeah, definitely.
And enjoy your weekend, and surely we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, buddy.
Take care,
See
man.
you guys. You too.
See you.
Bye. All right, and